The arena lights dimmed as two legends stepped into the octagon, each carrying the weight of their respective fighting philosophies. In one corner stood Steven Seagal, the aikido master whose Hollywood fame had made him a household name. In the other, Benny the Jet Urquidez, the kickboxing legend whose fists had spoken louder than any movie role ever could. Tonight, we would finally have our answer to one of martial arts' most debated questions.
Steven Seagal entered with the measured confidence of a man who had spent decades perfecting the art of redirecting force. Standing 6'4" with an imposing frame, Seagal moved with the fluid grace that had made aikido his signature. His background in traditional Japanese martial arts ran deep, having studied under masters in Japan before bringing his skills to American dojos and eventually Hollywood screens. The man's wrist control was legendary, his ability to blend with an opponent's energy almost mystical. But tonight, he faced a different kind of storm. Seagal's strength lay in his understanding of leverage and timing. His aikido training had taught him to use an opponent's aggression against them, turning incoming attacks into opportunities for devastating throws and joint locks. Years of conditioning had given him remarkable core strength and flexibility. Yet questions lingered about his conditioning against a truly elite striker. Could his defensive philosophy survive the lightning-fast combinations of a world-class kickboxer? His mental game was his fortress, built on decades of meditation and spiritual practice that had made him nearly unshakable under pressure.
Across the ring, Benny Urquidez represented everything explosive about American kickboxing. At 5'6", the Jet had built his reputation on speed that defied physics and power that dropped giants. His tournament record spoke volumes, over 60 professional fights with only one loss, holding multiple world titles across different weight classes. This was a man who had faced the absolute best and emerged victorious time and again. His striking combinations flowed like water, each technique setting up the next in deadly sequence. Urquidez's technical precision was his trademark. His left hook could find gaps that didn't seem to exist, while his kicks carried the snap of a bullwhip. Years of fighting had given him an intuitive understanding of distance and timing that bordered on supernatural. He could read an opponent's intentions before they fully formed, countering attacks that hadn't even begun. But tonight presented a unique challenge. How do you strike a man trained to absorb and redirect every bit of energy you throw at him? His mental preparation was legendary, a combination of intense focus and calculated aggression that had served him well against the world's elite. The bell rang and both fighters began their dance. Seagal immediately established his preferred distance, staying just outside Urquidez's striking range while maintaining the space needed for his throws. The aikido master's hands moved in subtle patterns, ready to intercept and redirect any incoming attack. Urquidez circled like a predator, his footwork creating angles while his hands fired testing jabs to gauge Seagal's reactions. The first exchange came when Urquidez launched a lightning-fast combination. Seagal's response was textbook aikido, blending with the punches and attempting to secure wrist control. But Urquidez's hand speed proved problematic. The kickboxer's strikes came and went before Seagal could fully establish his grips. The crowd sensed the tactical chess match developing as both fighters probed for weaknesses. Round 2 saw Urquidez increase his output, mixing body shots with head kicks that forced Seagal to adjust his positioning. The Aikido master's defensive skills were on full display as he weathered the storm, occasionally catching Urquidez's wrist and threatening with throws that never quite materialized.
The kickboxer's conditioning was evident as he maintained his pace, but Seagal's calm demeanor suggested he was waiting for his moment. The turning point came in the third round when Urquidez committed fully to a devastating left hook. Seagal's aikido training kicked in as he absorbed the punch's energy, pivoting his hips and using Urquidez's momentum to execute a perfect irimi nage throw. The kickboxer hit the canvas hard, but his years of training served him well as he rolled with the impact and returned to his feet. The crowd erupted as both fighters reset. The dynamic of the fight forever changed. Now Urquidez had to respect Seagal's throwing ability, which played directly into the aikido master's hands. The kickboxer's strikes became more cautious, his combination shorter and less committed. Seagal seized this psychological advantage, pressing forward with renewed confidence. His hand traps became more successful as Urquidez's hesitation gave him the split-second openings he needed. The fourth round belonged to Seagal as he successfully controlled the distance and pace. His aikido techniques were finding their mark more consistently, though Urquidez's defensive skills kept him from being overwhelmed. The kickboxer landed clean shots, but they seemed to have less effect on the aikido master than expected. Seagal's spiritual training showed as he absorbed punishment while maintaining his tactical approach. The final round was a masterclass in adaptation. Urquidez, recognizing that his usual approach wasn't working, began using his kicks to maintain distance while setting up his hand techniques. His experience in championship fights became evident as he found new angles and timing. But Seagal's aikido philosophy proved its worth as he continued to neutralize much of Urquidez's offense through superior positioning and energy redirection. As the final bell sounded, both fighters showed mutual respect, knowing they had been part of something special. The crowd rose to its feet, having witnessed a true clash of martial arts philosophies. The judges' scorecards would tell the story, but both men had proven their respective arts under the brightest lights. When the decision was announced, Steven Seagal's hand was raised in victory. His aikido had proven its effectiveness against one of the world's greatest strikers. The key factor was Seagal's ability to neutralize Urquidez's greatest weapons through superior defensive positioning and his devastating throw in the third round. While Urquidez landed more strikes overall, Seagal's damage was more significant, and his control of distance and timing ultimately proved decisive. Both warriors had elevated their respective arts, proving that true martial skill transcends any single fighting style.